I remember walking into Mark for the first time. The conversations were not as as visible, or people were not as comfortable to talk about that, and there were a lot of could I say mistrust whenever you mention the word gender, as if it was about the males and females maybe in conflict, or one complaining about the other. But now I appreciate the fact that when we say gender to any Mark staff at whatever level, they understand you're talking relations, you're talking, the power dynamics, power relations between men and women. So there's that suspicion that you are trying to advance the other at the expense of the other. I think staff are now more aware and more conscious of what the true definition of what gender is all about. Yeah.
Tell me a little more about the culture at the time you joined Mark.
Yeah, it was interesting. Our tongues, could may say, because I was also part of the Mark staff, our tongues were a bit very loose, could I say, in saying things that were rather even insensitive or offending to the other person. And I remember walking into one of these offices, which was under my department, and there were a lot of these posters and pictures, which had, derogative, I would say, or insensitive messages about women, like where someone would say, God created men first, then women is like after a second thought, or something of that sort. So there were a lot of these, and people were comfortable having them in their offices without really realizing that it was quite insensitive to speak of the other, sex like that. So, but it was interesting, after we began the gender awareness and diversity trainings with staff, no, it was not like a hard and fast rule to say, go and remove those posters. But they slowly disappeared from the walls. And we began having, even where jokes would be shared, whether we're in a vehicle going to the field, people would just share jokes that would be very insensitive, or, stereotyping, about women and that. But over the 3 years or so, I've seen that changing a bit, where even staff will begin to correct one another to say, no, this is not the way to speak of the other person, So for me, yeah, that's a notable change that I've seen. Closer to me or to my heart is the issue of the gender unit, because when gender issues can be quite abstract issues and difficult to deal with, and you would need people to drive that process. We needed someone or some people to bring us together consciously to have this discourse, whether formal or informal, within the organization, to begin talking about certain issues. And those structural changes of having the gender unit and having the gender leads, for me that was very important, because even if we had staff meetings, but we didn't have that less controlled or informal space where staff would open up even about issues in their personal lives, which we probably would see, negatively impacting on the programs and the way they would deal with the volunteers and the beneficiaries and the community. But, in a more relaxed manner, we started even understanding one another and relating, closer, because you would now know that, okay, maybe Musa has got this issue with her child or with her spouse, or there's someone terminally ill within her home, or she's going through GBV, or she has been raped in the past. So all those kind of personal, sensitive experiences, when they are opened up in that informal space, they are both like a psychosocial, space for really therapeutic in a way, and it has helped our staff to be more confident and to kind of have that safe space of letting out all the internal pressures they've been closing up.
Yeah, I can say about internal changes, It's like I was one of the guys who undermined ladies, especially. Why I undermined ladies, I was just looking into a situation whereby how many countries are being led by ladies. And I felt like ladies, they're like chameleons. Their mood, they can change at any moment. That's the feeling which I had before. But now through these programs, I'm just saying, no, but ladies are so important. That means they were being undermined, and since long back, maybe it's by creation, because I have tried to read in the Bible whereby I can see the ladies on top of the situation. Even the prophets, most of them, they were guys. So I don't think, it's like this was my mentality, and that's what I believed on, that ladies should be the second role in the leadership. And it's only that if you can look into Africa, you can only find one lady who is the president, that is Sirleaf Johnson in Liberia. And just consider that ladies, why there are no ladies in this leading criteria. So I say no, maybe it's by creation, but through intent in Mark organization, I felt that the director is the lady, and my program manager is the lady. So I felt so many ladies, they can do things, and look the way they are leading the organization, they are doing it very well, and they are even considering women, they are respecting women. Otherwise, if it wasn't like that, the organization was almost favoring ladies. So I learned a lot. There is a change which became in myself mentally, because now I can feel like, ladies, they are there. And this change doesn't happen in Mark only. I took it even to my ward. Go to my ward right now, you can find that ladies are participating in every program.
Yes, I was saying our board has been trained on gender, and all our staff members have been trained on gender. And the board members, they comprise of 8 members. We have 4 females and 4 males. And the females are holding key positions there at our board level. The chairperson is a lady, and the vice chairperson is also a lady.
Oh, wow. And that you think is deliberately due to the EC program? How did you ensure? Or was it a question of saying we need a new board chair, and that board chair has to be a woman? How do you think it happened that we ended up with that scenario?
It's because of Mark being genderized. That's how it's happened.
Okay.
And looking even at the staff, the director is a lady. We have a staff complement of 35, headed by a female lady, and she's doing a great job. And with 18 females and 17 males.
Wow.
Under her. Yeah, for instance, the ladies, because of our gender program, the ladies now have a sanitary bin in their ladies, and the men were working on it for them to have their urinary.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
And also the budgets, we make sure they are also genderized.
Okay.
Even if it's finances, we input gender in those budgets.
Tell me more about that, the gender budget. Sounds like an interesting concept. What do you mean, like you look at the budget and ensure they're genderized? Just an example.
We look at the target group. Are they women and girls that are covered in that budget? What if a woman has an emergency in the meeting, they get in their menses, what happens? We make sure they are catered for.
The story closest to mind, that comes to mind, is a simple story about one member of staff. Through the behavior change program, we didn't have enough vehicles in supporting that program. So the funding partner then decided to support us with motorbikes. And fortunately or unfortunately, the districts that were being supported with these motorbikes, they were female officers. And so this particular female officer writes in the newsletter about her experience of how it has been empowering for her to even get the training to ride the motorbike, and being seen in the communities, in rural communities riding the motorbike. It was quite an experience. For me, it was that simple story told from that angle, that it's sometimes, we look for big changes, but for me, the staff member is sharing, a personal change story where she had never thought of riding a motorbike. And now it has been so empowering because she has had to change even her dress code. You can't sit on the motorbike with a little skirt or dress. So it impacted her in so many ways. And even other women in the community are now, as she was saying, being seen or talking about even buying bicycles. Because you would appreciate in our region, the bicycle is a man's mode of transport. The women, then you catch a ride at the back or walk or use the cart. So for me, it was just that simple story, how through that program, she would have easily asked maybe to be moved to another program or get a man in that particular department to ride the motorbike. But they...
Yeah, this simple story, as you put it, about your colleague, do you think it has had an impact on the lives of girls and women in the area where she works or in the region generally?
Definitely, definitely. That, amongst many other stories, speak to how women, their efforts, the various efforts of empowering women in different aspects. And that in itself is one example of how some of the programs like the Engineering Change program is challenging the status quo. It's challenging the patriarchy, it's challenging, the traditions that have been there. So where the bicycle, the motorbike has been for men, and we start getting more women, even riding a motorbike, and more so in the rural areas. So it actually confirms or kind of enhances the messages that we say when we say we want to empower women, and we start from that, from the staff level, moving out of our comfort zones into the male's domains.